Welcome back. In the previous episodes we have done the following. I have shown you what the basic recorded files look like, roughly how we recorded them, went over the guitars, drums, bass, vocals, cleaning up of the tracks, getting to a position where you can do the kind of final mix. Now here's something that you should never be doing, but I'm going to do it, and that is to also kind of master your song. One of the reasons I'm showing you this is because the whole idea of this is to be an introduction into home recording. Each step of what we've done can be taken a day for, you know what I mean? This is really to give all the basics and why certain things are done. And now I'm not going to export this and then master it. I tend to take quite a bit of care getting the stuff to sound the way I want it to. So I do sometimes master afterwards, and sometimes I can literally master as we're doing it now. Now, what's important to understand here is that if you do it this way, you can go back and make minor tweaks, but it won't be perfect. If you want a really good master, I really would suggest giving the master to your final draft to somebody who really knows what they're doing with mastering, or use this process to try and get good at mastering. Mastering is the process of taking your final mix thing, mix track, with all your levels and compressions on each track correct, so that it sounds half decent going through the bus. You could argue realistically without any effects on the bus, on the master bus. So nothing, in theory, nothing prevents this process that I'm showing you now to actually work well, even, you know, for a final. So what we're doing is we're pushing everything that we've now done in the previous videos. I've done a minor wee tweaks here and there with the proper monitors, not through the headphones. And then I've applied mastering effects on the bus, on the master bus. What do we need to do on the master bus? We need to make sure that it's balanced, that you don't have certain frequencies jumping out at you. We need to compress and glue all the tracks together. They sound like a cohesive entity. We can do other things like adding a slight bit delay or reverb. We could, but realistically that's not where that should happen. And the final kind of volume without compressing it. So you just look at some of the videos around the loudness wars and all that. So I personally hate compressing and mastering to such a hugely loud kind of track volume. I try to keep some sort of audible sensibility there. If you now upload to certain online streaming services, you will notice that they will lower your volume or higher, or make it louder as well, to match all their other stuff. But essentially, we want to make the track we like. Okay, so what I've done here is I've done a few little extra tweaks here and there with the main monitors, and I've also done this last bit on the monitors. So I'll just show you what we've done. Switch this on. So the first thing, I love this compressor, the TTR Kotlinovic from Tokyo Dawn Labs. It sounds amazing. It's free, so get it. And I've literally just used the tight mastering. And the reason I use the tight one is because we've got the tightness, glues things nice and tight, and it keeps transient nice and open, and you can still hear them. If you use too much of a smoothing mastering, you might lose some of the transients, and we need the transients in a faster, heavier, more complex song, so that, you know, drum hits and stuff like this stand out. The next thing I've done is I've pushed this straight into a tape emulator, so that warmness of the tape, pushing the tape hard. The next one is this little bit here. Thanks Glenn Fricker. He suggested this once, and it's absolutely a wonderful little, I dare say, limiter. So what I do with this one is I put it onto -5, -1 dB, and then I scale down the threshold and it really does a good job of making everything nice and loud without changing anything, without adding any color, quite nice and transparent. And I'll give you an idea what that sounds like. And then at the end, just a final EQ, just to notch out anything which might be problematic. So to give you an idea, let's play this. So if you open this up, it comes up like this. No compression technically. Then you can pull this output dB down. I usually put it somewhere between -1 and -5. And then when you play it back, you can then take the threshold down and it'll bring the old volume up quite nicely. And I do it to taste. I honestly do it to taste. Okay, happy with that. Again, this is showing how to master. There are better videos than I can show you. I play it by ear and a little bit by what I see happening. What I want is the bottom end to be clear and not too muddy. I don't want any weird things to stand out. So I basically just notch out. I want to get the volume, the right volume for streaming services and basic listening pleasure. And I want to make sure that there's no screeching kind of weird audio that comes through. If there is anything specific that is missing in the mix, like, oh, I can't hear the snare or I can't hear this, that is a mixing problem. So I'd rather go back into the mix and try and solve the problem at its source than try and fix it in the master. So really, usually when I do the mastering for my own stuff, it's literally just to get the levels right and anything obvious glaring, which is not necessarily fixable in the main mix. Although usually, to be fair, it is. And then the last thing here on the list is this EQ here, where I'm just notching out anything that might be problematic. I hate that screeching kind of 1K and 2 and 2.5K. So for my ears, I usually take it out. Oh, now we've got workers going on.
Until it hit me, fix the problem, fix the time, took myself out another crime. Hell open, another door closed, seat I'm running fast towards me. Distorted sensors rescue me, and hide all these things in me. What's the problem? Eat the pain. Can't you see the warnings in me? Distorted sensors rescue me. Can't hide all these things in me. What's the problem? Ease the pain. Can't you see the warnings in me? It was working out with what I believe. So can't you see?
Sorry, in my headphones, I'm happy with this. But my headphones really aren't the best for this. So what I'm going to do now is one final step that I just apply as a blanket. It usually works out just fine. So I'm going to render this quick. 48, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what have we got here? 1 minute to... So in this preview you can also see if you're making any mistakes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm exporting this. And then I'm literally just going to apply one last filter and a cut off the front and back. And that will be me. I'll be happy with it. If not, then you start again. Okay, so where are we going? Made a mistake anyway. So I want to go and put this somewhere else. Final render. So okay, that's that. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to open this with Gold Wave. One of the reasons I do that is because I can now cut it the way I want to. So give it a couple of seconds. Okay. Trim it. The end. Happy with that. Now if I zoom in, I can see that this is a fairly decent wave format. So even from a visual point of view, this looks all right. But I'm going to apply one thing, and that is just the dynamics very, very slightly. So now I know roughly where I am exactly with the waveform and the transients. So anybody interested in doing that with their songs, it works really well. It is better to do everything in your DAW. You have a lot more control. But like I said, this is a bit of a quick home recording, getting a song down. I think you need to know all the different aspects before you then delve deep into each single one. You can do a lot more with the guitars, you can do a lot more with the vocals, you can do a lot more with the mastering, with the drums, etc. So for this is mainly just to try and get people to get going and understand what you're trying to do with each thing. Because I mainly deal with kind of rock and stuff like that, metal, and I try to keep things simple. If you're doing hyper complicated pop songs with all sorts of different instruments and stuff, it gets a lot more complicated. You need to be a lot more aware about the EQs of each thing and how to make sure that it is audible within the mix and doesn't get lost and it doesn't get too muddy, and you need to do a lot more with automating your levels, things getting soft in certain parts and louder. This is just a straightforward rough punk song. Let's go for it. Get it clean, get it sounding good, and that is that. So I hope you learned something. If there's anything you need to know still, please put it in the comments. There will be, as time goes by, I'll try and get more and more of these little aspects, using the same track, getting a lot of these little aspects and putting them in. What I'll also do is add this song to Spotify, and it'd be absolutely awesome if you guys liked and shared it and maybe added it to your playlist. Thank you very much.